Interesting thing about churches. I mean, in Britain, I would imagine probably the same in the Netherlands, very few people go to church anymore. So you've got lots and lots of churches that are, across Britain, churches have been redeveloped as apartments, as pubs, as all sorts of things. And in a sense, that's probably what could have happened here at Bromley by Bow. Andrew arrived to find 12 old people, £400 in the bank, and thinking really, this was probably the end of his church. And so the story of what happened here is a remarkable story of the rebirth of this space. And Andrew, when you ask what matters to people, that's exactly what Andrew did. He went out onto the streets and started to talk to people about what mattered to them and what they might do with these largely unused church buildings. These buildings were just used for 1 hour every week for the service on a Sunday morning, and then they were closed the rest of the week. And the whole series of rooms over there as well, just completely empty. So Andrew started to meet a whole lot of people in the community who had ideas about what to do with these buildings. And for the last 30 years, we just built a new nursery at the end of the road, but for the last 30 years, and we had a nursery in here in the church. We had all these pews in a diamond formation with an altar in the middle, and these cupboards around the edge, and children. So if you'd have come here before August last year, we wouldn't have been here, we'd be in another part of the building, because this would have been full of children. So that was because Andrew met some people in the community who had a small nursery in their home. They didn't think the quality of nursery care was very good in this area. They started to attract the children of friends and neighbours as well, and they were running out of room. They didn't have enough room. They needed more space. They met Andrew and said, "Look, Andrew, you seem to be, your church is not used. Why don't you just give us the church anyway? We'll set up a nursery in the church." And Andrew said, "Well, funny about this church, but actually, I have a commitment to delivering a service on a Sunday morning, so I can't just give you the church. But let's think about a partnership. What about you thinking about having the nursery in the church, but still preserving the church as well?" Now, interestingly, and so you asked what's our relationship between Bromley by Bow and local authorities. I think Bromley by Bow has had quite a difficult relationship with local authorities and the government. So Andrew wanted to set up a nursery in the church, and he had to get somebody from the council down to give approval. And he tells the story of how this person pulled out from their bag a book as thick as an old-fashioned telephone directory of every reason why nothing can happen in the world. And who said, you can't possibly have a nursery in this church. It's not adequate for a nursery. It hasn't got the right facilities. There's all these health and safety issues, and etc., etc., etc. And Andrew said, "Well, okay, I want to talk to your manager then and have a conversation with your manager about this." And this person's manager came down and said, "Andrew, this is really interesting. For what you say it's going to cost you to set up a nursery in the church, I could build 4 of your nurseries for what I've just paid for a nursery half a mile away from here that we've just built as a local council." So, absolutely, and maybe you need to think about this and the other, but absolutely, you have approval for building a nursery. And so we set up a whole series of things, a nursery, a dance school. We had a whole group of artists who were living in this community who were in what's called short life housing. These were homes that were going to be renovated. They get given a license for a year or two, but they didn't have any studio space. So Andrew said, "Well, I've got all these empty church rooms. What about you setting up your artist colony here in exchange for giving classes back to the community?" So that's exactly what happened. He met a woman who said she wanted to set up a small cafe. She had never run a cafe before. Andrew had never run a cafe before. Andrew said, "Well, I'll get hold of a second-hand cooker and we'll start running a cafe." And so it was all about finding people in the community who had ideas about how they could use this space. Now, in all of this, we started to there was a program at the time called Care in the Community. I don't know if you must have had this in the Netherlands, which is where people were being taken out of mental hospitals and care homes and being put within the community. It was called Care in the Community, but really there was very little care attached to it at all. And we started to pick up the fact that actually people with mental health issues and learning disabilities and physical disabilities were being dumped on our local housing estates with very, very little care or support. But also the communities felt very mistrustful of these people. They didn't know who they were. Nobody explained what was going on. So we started to develop a whole program of brokering relationships between people who were being rehoused on the local housing estates who had care needs, and we set up a whole care program here at Bromley by Bow. Now the interesting thing about the care program was that it was managed by our artists with local people. We started to make friends with a group of young mums who were dropping their children at the primary school over the road. They started to come into our cafe. We realised that these were young mums who were coming out at 9 o'clock in the morning to drop their kids off at school and not coming back out again until 3 in the afternoon. They were local mums who hadn't done very well at school, hadn't got qualifications, didn't have jobs. Some of them were quite socially isolated. So we started to bring them into our projects, and they became our first care workforce. So we started to provide social care training for them. And so, if in effect we were working with local people who were then supporting local people in a very, very creative artistic program of social care.
How did you get them in? Because you said sometimes socially isolated and...
So it's all about where the points of contact are. So in this particular case, our school gates, they've moved the gates around the corner now, but our school gates were literally over the road from here. So you have teams of people who go out into the community whose job it is to broker relationships with the community. And it's, so you absolutely have to have teams who, the big mistake is to give those teams desks and computers. If you've got an outreach team, for heaven's sake, don't give them a desk and don't give them a computer, otherwise they'll want to spend their whole lives emailing other professionals in other organisations in the community and spend all their time sitting in their nice cosy office with their desk and their photo of their husband and their cat and everything else around them. And when it gets cold and rainy, they don't want to go out. So don't give them an office, don't give them a computer. Tell them that their work is out in the streets. I think it's really interesting, this. What is important for professionals is now, I think, hugely challenging, isn't it? Because actually, for professional, if you walk into most organisations now, you walk into a building full of people who are stuck at computers. And people are writing reports and doing this and doing that and doing the other. And I think for an organisation like Bromley by Bow, this is quite challenging. You've got a whole system that you have to feed with information. But this is hugely detrimental to a lot of the work. If you go back 40 years, you think, what would your staff have been doing? They wouldn't have been sitting at computers. They would have been talking to people. And I think this is really challenging for us now. And often, unfortunately, getting a report in on time becomes more important than how you're engaging with your community. And, it's what your manager asks, and data and information, and the report that's got to go to your manager, and your manager's got to send the report to somebody else, and they've got to send it to somebody else. This whole system becomes more important than actually what you're doing with the people. And I think this is really unfortunate. So one of the things at Bromley by Bow is that we have made sure that we have a building that's always full of our community. And all the way through our building, we need to go for a walk in a second. All the way through our building, you find that the community is within our building. So there are no separate bits of our building where we only have staff and no members of the community. The building is completely open access.